The Utah Jazz have been an incredibly good team this season. Right now, they're sitting atop the Western Conference with the number 1 seed. They have the best record in the NBA at 27-8 at the time of this recording. And overall, man, everything has been going smoothly for the Jazz. They've got a 6th Man of the Year candidate in Jordan Clarkson. Donovan Mitchell is playing very well. Mike Conley is looking like the guy they initially traded for. Rudy Gobert is a top 3, top 2 Defensive Player of the Year candidate like he usually is. Bojan Bogdanovic has picked up his three-point shot. Joe Ingles is shooting very, very well from 3 as well. And overall, this entire team is clicking. So, with that said, I want to talk about today why I think that this Jazz team is a real contender, but I also want to talk about some of the problems I have with the way they're going to play and how that is going to affect them in the playoffs. So before I get too deep into all of that, please do like and subscribe if you enjoy. Helps us so much, and it's really easy to do. So please just like, subscribe, comment anything you want to talk about. I'd love to discuss, and we'll get right into it. The Utah Jazz are an interesting team by the fact that they play the game in such a simple way. Their offense is completely designed around the three-point shot, and their defense is completely designed around their center, Rudy Gobert, and his lockdown defense. And just really their defense, every time I watch the Jazz, I think that simply they do a great job of just closing out and guarding the perimeter. It's hard to shoot very well against this team because they've got Gobert in the middle, and you don't really have to double anyone downhill unless it's Kawhi, LeBron, or any of those guys. And when you don't have to do that, all the guys outside are wide open, especially when you're playing a team that doesn't have a big man that can shoot the 3-ball. Kristaps Porzingis is a guy that usually has pretty decent games against Rudy because, he can shoot that 3-ball. Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, the top of the line guys are the people that usually play very well against this team. But with that said, like I was saying, the Utah Jazz do a great job of getting past screens. They have great closeouts on their defense against three-point shots. And overall, I am just impressed with the way this team looks. They look really energetic and ready to go. They've got a lot of defensive intensity, as my friend Peyton Green would say, with Royce O'Neal, who I think has been a standout candidate this year as one of the most valuable players on this Jazz team. And overall, he is the perfect 3-and-D guy they need. He's got the locker room personality, seems like he fits great with the team. He can shoot really well. He's shooting a good percentage at a high clip. Plus, his defense has been immaculate. It's been so good, the versatility he brings them on defense. Here's this chart I have right here, and it's just kind of the possessions that a player is guarding a certain position. And as you can see from this, Royce is almost a circle. He is guarding everywhere he can. And even the center position, which, as you can tell, he doesn't guard as much as the other positions, he's still doing a decent job against them. He can guard 1 through 4 at an elite level. And I just think that he's the perfect fit for this team when Donovan Mitchell, who I love and have been, a big fan of since he came into the league, Donovan Mitchell doesn't bring that type of defense. But Royce O'Neal helps make up for that by having the veteran IQ and defensive IQ to make up for that lack of defense in Donovan. Does it completely make up for it? No, not at all. And Donovan definitely needs to sort some of those defensive inefficiencies out. But overall, the fact that Donovan is a solid defender, not a good one, not a bad one, I'd say he's about average. Royce, who is a great defender. Joe Ingles is a great, intense, scrappy guy. He's a great defender as well. Rudy Gobert, Defensive Player of the Year, insane defensively. And all those guys on the bench. Derek Favors, I think, is a pretty decent backup center defensively. So they've got the defense. And then on the offensive side of the ball, it's as simple as having open three-point shooters. And Rudy helps them, keep the defense on their toes. And that little Donovan pick and roll, Mike Conley pick and roll, the Rudy Gobert, fake lob pass to the three-point shot. It clicks so well. But this is where we get into a couple of the problems I have with this team. This team is too reliant on three-point shots. And you might say, well, yeah, obviously they're very reliant on the shot, but it's going in, so who's to say it's just going to stop all of a sudden? This team is a contender. They are. And they're shooting this well. And if they weren't shooting this well, they would not be a contender. But they are. But the playoffs are only 7 games at a maximum. And right now, they don't have that kind of pressure on them. And it's as simple to me as it's not easy to make threes in the playoffs. And when you're playing the best competition available in the world and you're expected to shoot, they are shooting a top 3 in the league. Top 3 in the league, 3-point percentage at 40%. And they're also shooting the most threes per game in the NBA at 43. So, do you see what I mean? They're not going to be able to hit every shot, If they can, great. That's why I would consider them a contender, because they have more of a chance of doing that than a team like the Mavericks or the Heat. But if they have an off night, they are completely reliant on Donovan, and that has been this team's kind of Achilles heel since they've been in the league with Donovan, since this new era of Jazz basketball has been around, is you don't want to rely fully on a player like Donovan, who is great. I can't tell you enough. I'm a giant Donovan fan. If you follow this channel at all, I will back Donovan up in almost any argument. But he's not Kawhi, he's not LeBron. You can't put the full load of the team on his back and expect to win. We saw what happened. This same scenario played out against the Nuggets last season, and it didn't work out. Donovan was scoring 56 points in the first game, and they lost. That usually isn't how scoring 56 points goes. And overall, this team, I think, is a little too reliant on the three-point shot. And I'd like to see a little bit more of an improvement from Rudy Gobert offensively. I mean, he's a big dude. He's got a 7'6" wingspan. Crazy big. I really think that's just where his offense lies, is that he's big. He takes advantage of smaller, weaker defenders and kind of just bullies, but doesn't have any sort of technical prowess or great footwork or anything. It's really just roll to the basket or post up. I want to see Rudy evolve a little bit, and do I think he's going to? No. And unless Rudy, pulls something crazy out of the bag and starts to play with a little bit more creativity, he's not going to be the second option on this team. Another thing I want to say that makes this team a contender is, like I was saying with Donovan and how they can't rely fully on him, Mike Conley has been playing at a very good level as well. He looks like the player that they traded for. And overall, I just think that's so nice. Now Donovan might not have to have that full weight on his shoulders. But one last thing, and this I want to bring up an example of this scenario. So 3 or 4 games ago, the Jazz lost to the Heat in one of their 8 losses on the season. And it's clear why they lost. They shot very poorly from the three-point line. They shot 32%. Clarkson shot 25%. Donovan shot 22%. Conley shot 26%. And Royce O'Neal shot 33%. 3 of their best players, and Royce O'Neal, who's a great player, but he's not one of their best players, shot below league average. And Donovan took 26 shots. A season high for Donovan. So, and they lost. They lost to the Miami Heat, who shot 45% from 3, which is great. That is a really good, that's above league average. That's above the highest in the NBA from an average perspective. But I think that the Jazz need to stop relying so much. And Quinn Snyder, I really like him as a coach. And, I mean, he's smart enough to be creative in the playoffs and understand that, yes, if our three-point shot starts to not fall, I'm going to have to be a little bit more creative with the plays I call. And I'm going to have to allow Donovan to do his work, but at the same time, keep the same defensive intensity throughout the entire game. And if that involves maybe giving Jordan Clarkson a little bit more of a role in the playoff, like he's already, sixth man of the year, averaging 18 points per game. But can he be the guy that helps this team win? Like in the past, I think he'd been a detriment because they had relied so much on Donovan that Jordan Clarkson was that last little crutch that they had. He was the last straw of a bend or a break. And when he played poorly, it broke. Donovan couldn't carry everything, and that team lost. Jordan is playing at a much better level. I'd say he's a little bit stronger of a crutch now. He's not made of wood anymore. He's made of steel, and he's keeping this ship upwards. But if he were to break and somehow, his scoring production falls off drastically in the playoffs, plus they're already relying so much on the three-point shot, it's just a little unstable. Everything about this team is reliant on something, or one factor where, teams have bad shooting nights all the time. Great three-point shooting teams have bad nights all the time. And I do think this team is a contender, but when you have players like Kawhi and LeBron in the West and Damian Lillard and the Portland Trail Blazers, who are a really good defensive team, plus they have Dame who hits his shots, it is very tough to say this team is a clear finals contender. I don't know if I'd put my money on it. They are a risky team to bet on, but we will see how they progress throughout the season, and I'm super excited to see how they play in the playoffs. But thank you so much for watching if you got this far. Please do like and subscribe if you enjoy. I love the Jazz. I'd say they're a top 3 team of mine. I love Donovan. He's one of my favorite players in the NBA, and I'm just a big fan of this team. I love the culture down in Utah, and I think that they've grown something special. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.